Hey, do you prefer to find the joy in life, or do you just want some help with that? If so, you're in the right place. So come on in and join the Joy Bunny clan. This is the My Slice of Life podcast. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the My Slice of Life podcast. I'm Sharon, your Highland host, and also the woman behind the My Slice of Life blog, so don't forget to check that out too. You'll find a link to it in the description box, or you can just go and type mysliceoflife.co.uk and have a wee nosy around there. Tell a friend and help me increase the number of joy bunnies all over the place. I'm actually excited about this week's topic. I get excited about all of them, but I'm glad you're here so we can have a delve into some of the most useful herbs you can have in your garden. Some of the herbs I'm going to mention today are said to have medicinal qualities too. Like, I am not a herbalist, although I'm interested in using herbs like this, but please do more research or find a herbalist if that is something you want to know more about, find out more about. So, what is a herb? What actually classifies as a herb? Well, according to the Cambridge Dictionary online, it is a type of plant whose leaves are used in cooking to give flavour to particular dishes or in making medicine. So, pretty much anything edible. I've gone through a lot of lists online to bring you what I think is a pretty good assortment of all things herby. So let's dive right in. And it's in no particular order, so the first one I'm going to start with is basil. It's a tender annual, so it doesn't like cold weather and frost. You want to give it good soil and as much warmth and light as possible. Greenhouses are ideal for basil, or your kitchen windowsill would be pretty good too, as long as it gets that light and warmth. When you're growing it, you can pinch out the growing tip. You know, when the plants are about 15 centimetres high, if you pinch out the tip, you'll get bushier growth. And if you don't have seeds to get started, you can take a shop-bought one and just split it up and repot them, and you'll have lots of little basil plants to put everywhere. And the pinched out tops that you get, put them in water and they should actually grow roots for you in a few weeks, and then you can pot them up too. Really simple and easy. Fantastic for pizzas, well, all Italian food really, but really nice in salads and even in vegetable juices. Goes particularly well with beetroot, believe it or not. It's a really nice juice you can do with beetroot and basil. So a good one to get us started there. Really tasty, but simple to grow, and it just has that smell and taste of summer. So basil, nice and easy. The next herb I'm going to bring up is chives. It's a hardy perennial, so it's going to keep coming back year after year once you get it started. So again, simple. You don't really have to do anything. Did you know they were once hung in bunches around the house to fend off evil spirits? I didn't know that. These days they're actually pretty popular as well as border plants, thanks to the gorgeous purple flowers that you get on them. The entire chive plant is edible. Their flowers can be picked and used as garnishes, but I will give you a word of warning. They say you can eat the flower, right? So I did it once, and it nearly blew my head off. They are so strong, so break them up. If you want to eat that part, break it up into little bits, I would advise. It's a really strong flavour. The leaves, on the other hand, the actual stalks, they have a light onion flavour. So your chives can be used in all sorts of dishes, from things like classic potato salad. You can use them in soups and omelettes. A really nice low maintenance plant as well. So either try growing from seed or go and buy a little plant at your nearest garden centre. Better yet, find someone who's already growing it and get them to split their plants, because that's all you have to do to increase your plants with these. You just split them up and replant and you've got more chives. Super simple, easy to look after, and you can use them in a lot of different dishes. What more can you ask for from one little plant? The next herb on the list is mint. And there are loads of different kinds of mint, so you can really have some fun with this one. I've got pineapple mint growing just now outside and a couple of other more traditional types, but you can get a lot of different flavours. It's another hardy herb that's easy to grow in the garden. Flowers from roughly August to September. It's perennial as well, so it can be relied on to come back year after year. We've all used mint, and you can use it in all sorts of things, from salads to sauces and of course tea. And you can use the dried leaves or fresh, whatever you like. When you're growing it, just remember it doesn't like to get too dry, so err on the side of a pretty moist soil. Plenty of sun if you can so it grows well for you, and be aware it can be invasive. If you let it, it will go everywhere. So to avoid it taking over, if you're growing it in the soil, just grow it in a bottomless bucket, put in the soil or in a large pot, and that way you don't have to worry about it spreading and taking over. Probably best to start with a plant from the garden centre with this one. That's how I've done all of mine with the mint. And like I said, it comes back year after year, so once you've bought it, you've always got it. Now the next one on the list is coriander, also known as Chinese parsley. It's a little different. It's a short-lived, tender annual, and it's best to grow a lot of it at one go rather than having like a plant here and a plant there. Think broadcast sowing, which I talked about in the last episode, and that way you'll be able to harvest handfuls of it at a time, not just a few leaves, because you want to get a good handful of it, don't you, when you're using it. And try to sow some more later on and keep the cycle going so you can keep harvesting later. Successional sowing is the way to go with this one. Like I said, it's an annual, it's not going to last all year, so the more you can sow it, the more you can harvest it in that short growing time that it does have. When you're growing it, try to give it a nice fertile soil, partial shade if you can. It can often bolt when it's stressed, which means it will just produce flowers and seeds instead of the tasty leaves that we want. So keep it well watered, harvest regularly for best results, and the whole plant is edible. It's often used in Asian cooking, although I admit I do like to mix it in salads too. It's so tasty. The seeds and leaves have very distinct flavours, like the seeds can be ground down and used as a spice. The leaves are a little more bitter, not much, but they do tend to be chopped up and used as a garnish. I would say experiment a bit more. It's a wonderful herb to use. The smell of it is amazing. Grow loads of it while you can before it gets too cold for this one. Okay, now we have another short-lived but quite a hardy annual, and that is dill. It can be raised from seed pretty easily, quite an easy one to grow. The fresh leaves have got a wonderful smell to them, and it's great with seafood, things like smoked salmon, perfect for dill. Also often matched with potatoes in soups. Again, also a good one in salads, don't forget that. Now if you're growing dill, it likes to stay in the same spot, so when you grow it, try to sow it where you want it to grow. So if you've got a big pot, sow it in that pot so it can grow there. And if you leave it to form seeds, leave them to turn brown and ripen later in the summer, then all you have to do is collect them in paper bags so you can use them ground or whole in the kitchen. Now did you know, because I didn't, it derives its name from the Old Norse word dilla, which means to soothe, and dill has been used since ancient times to treat colic in infants and digestive problems, so a really useful herb as well, not just for in the kitchen. This one is packing a punch when it comes to digestion. Now another one that's quite easy to grow from seed is fennel. It will grow pretty well in any garden soil as long as it's placed in a sunny spot. Quite a long-lived plant, which in early summer you're going to get loads of these lovely yellow flowers, and it looks really nice as well. The scent and taste are similar to aniseed, and it can be used in salads. It's often used in fish dishes as well. It is said to help with bad breath, constipation and other digestive problems. Now you can easily use it as a tea by using the seeds, but please be careful as apparently this one is not for everyone. Pregnant women, babies, in fact anyone with allergies to the carrot family, these people should all avoid using fennel seeds. So do your research, find out if it is suitable for you or whoever you want to make the tea for. But apart from that, enjoy it, as well as being enjoyed by us in the kitchen. It's also a very popular plant with pollinators, so great one to have in the garden, very helpful. Now we come to one of my favourites, actually, and that's parsley, believe it or not. Now, parsley is one of those herbs which, in the past, it was put on the side of the plate as a pathetic wee garnish, but it is worth so much more. In fact, I like to use it in a salad, a bit like lettuce, but that's not something you should do if pregnant, I have found out, so use wisely in that case. I think you need to eat a lot of it to be a problem, but I just want to bring it up. Having said that, I do hope you'll grow at least some parsley in your garden. It is a hardy biennial, best sown from seed in spring and summer. It is famous for being slow to germinate, so you can speed things up by soaking the seeds in water overnight before you actually sow them. Choose a spot with rich, slightly damp soil in full sun or partial shade, and when you want to harvest leaves, cut lower down the stem, so take some stem and use it nice and fresh. Don't forget though, you can use the stems as well, so not just the leaves, you're not going to waste the stems. It can be used in your salads, combined with basil to make your pesto. Great addition to things like fish cakes, but like I said, I like to think of it like lettuce when it comes to a salad, but whatever keeps you happy, sow some parsley, be patient, it will not spring up overnight. Fantastic herb, very useful. And another classic useful herb we have now is rosemary. The ancient Greeks believed rosemary was excellent for the brain, and it's still used in a lot of traditional herbal medicine, so this is a very popular herb. An evergreen shrub, it can have white, pink, purple or blue flowers, so rosemary is it's often used as a decorative plant in a lot of gardens. It does best in well-drained soil, should be positioned in quite a sunny spot. It is drought tolerant and pest resistant, so nice and easy. You'll want to keep the plant looking quite full and compact, so when the flowers begin to fade, cut back the stem or the plants just become leggy and then they get a wee bit pathetic looking. The leaves can be picked all year round to use to flavour everything from soup and meats, as well as being used in drinks such as tea. And I've also heard that putting sprigs of it in a bottle of red wine and leave it for a while, that can be used as a daily tonic to help your memory. In herbal medicine, rosemary is often used to help memory and in times like perimenopause. It's said to be antibacterial, anti-inflammatory and antifungal, amongst other things, so a very useful herb to have growing in your garden, and it looks good too, so that's a win-win. Okay, next up, do you grow sage? There are quite a few varieties to choose from, so it's another good one to experiment with. Now, when growing, it doesn't like wet ground, so plant it in a sunny spot. Again, fertile, well-drained soil, and it'll grow for you really well. It's an evergreen, so the leaves can be picked pretty much at any time and added to your dishes, but for winter protection, the plant can be covered with horticultural fleece. That's something you might want to think about. You also want to try to harvest the leaves quite regularly, as this will encourage more of them to grow. Unlike a lot of herbs, sage's flavour increases as its leaves grow. A lot of them, they say, use them when they're young. Not true with sage. You want those leaves nice and big if you can. It's said to be a good source of vitamin C and minerals like potassium, as well as having many other health benefits. I was doing a bit of reading, and from what I've been seeing, one of the best medicinal benefits of sage is for its oral care. Things like cold sores, sore throats, toothaches, tooth whitening. I've also seen everywhere it can help with hot flushes, again associated with perimenopause and menopause, and is used in a lot of herbal remedies for that. Another thing sage has also been used for is spiritual and ritual practices. For centuries, sage has been used for this. It's believed to have purifying and cleansing properties. It's often like if they have a smudging ceremony to clear negative energy and promote positive vibes, sage is the herb that they burn. You probably heard about that. That's the one they burn to clear the air and try and bring more positivity to an area. So now we have another one of my favourites, which is thyme. Thyme is another one of those herbs used in a lot of different cuisines worldwide. It goes well in savoury dishes such as braised meats, roasted veg, stews and soups, but it can also be added to marinades, teas, cocktails. Really useful, very versatile herb. You can grow it from seed or buy a plant, whatever way you prefer. I mean, I love growing thyme, and I really think it's one of the best plants to grow in your garden. I mean, I love all the herbs I'm talking about today, but thyme is one of my favourites. It attracts the bees, it smells great, tastes great, and is incredibly useful for medicinal purposes. It's quite a small, spreading herb, and fingers crossed, my thyme plants have made it through every winter so far, so it seems pretty hardy here as well. Now, I talked about it being medicinal. It's apparently been shown to fight off colds. It is said to be antimicrobial, antiseptic, anti-inflammatory, to name just a few of the antis. It's got it all. I've used it as a sore throat gargle, and I've just made tea with it as well. But if you look online, you will find a ton of herbal ideas for how to use thyme for your health. Especially, I would say, later on, autumn, winter, the weather's changing and there's more colds and coughs and sore throats coming. Make sure you have a stock of thyme. If nothing else, put it in your pot with some honey and lemon. Fantastic tea just to help you get over whatever it is that's trying to make you a little under the weather. Right, so far I've given you plants that you'd probably picture if I said herb, but this one is a little different. Calendula, or pot marigold. I really love it. I really love this plant, and I do try to have quite a few growing in the garden and in the allotment every year. You can eat the petals, but the whole flower is an important medicinal herb, which anyone, no matter what level they're at in their herbalism journey, they will tell you it's used for addressing skin conditions such as rashes, burns and dry skin, and it's the herb most likely to be found in nappy rash ointments and creams. So again, another very useful one. Now when growing calendula, it prefers full sun, and just kind of average garden soil. Doesn't have to be anything special. It is easily grown from seed. Some people say too easily. You can direct sow or start it in pots. Also pretty cold tolerant as well. It does really well as a container plant, hence the name pot marigold. And if you pick the flowers, quite often you will get a longer flowering season. It's one of those ones, the more you pick it, the more you will get. And if you leave the flowers on to become seeds, it will self-seed like crazy and you will have them everywhere. Some people say it is invasive because of this, but it's so gorgeous. I mean, would you really mind having it everywhere? I'll confess I do have quite a lot, but they're easy to remove if you have some growing where you don't want them. And the flowers, I mean, they can vary in colour too. They'll drop their seeds, come back year after year, and the pollinators love it too. So once you've got one, if you leave it to seed, you don't have to do anything else. It'll do everything for you. So that's a lovely easy one as well to get you started. Now another really useful one I have for you today is lemon balm. Lemon balm is also in the mint family, so plant this wisely, as it is a bit of a bully in the plant world. It wants garden dominance, so you will need to control it a bit, but it's worth it. It tastes great, it's easy to grow, and it has a lot of uses in that old herbalism world too. So what would you use it for? Well, really simply, if you're feeling a bit stressed, nip out to the garden, crush some of the leaves in your hand, inhale the aroma, and you'll feel yourself getting a bit calmer. But better still, make yourself a cup of tea with it. I made one the other week, and I'll be honest, this stuff's quite strong because I felt spaced out after one cup. So yeah, I had another one. Yeah, of course I did. That's what it's most well known for, is calming anxiety and helping people relax a bit. I know everybody goes to lavender, and I haven't mentioned lavender. I wanted to bring you something a little different. Lemon balm tea is ideal if you're having anxiety or stress. And again, I'm not a herbalist, but I know it works. It works for me. So now we come to the last one on my list for today. Although, do you know what? I could easily have another 10 for you, but I've had to limit myself a bit. And the last one is chamomile. Probably the most recognised use for chamomile is as a tea to help you settle and get to sleep. Some people think it tastes great. I like to have it with something else, as the flavour doesn't altogether appeal to me, if I'm totally honest. Apparently though, chamomile is also useful as an anti-inflammatory and helps with pain relief, including pain associated with arthritis. So if you're heading to bed and you're bothered by mild pain, try drinking some chamomile tea. It would be worth a try. It can be a little tricky to grow in very hot climates, apparently. It likes full sun, but a cooler climate. I've just started growing it here last year, so this is my first year of actually getting flowers showing everywhere. I got a few last year, but it seems to be taking off this year. So there you have it. That is my list of some of the easiest and most useful herbs to get growing in your garden. There are other plants and trees and so on, but I can't keep going on forever, so I hope this gives you a start, or at least something to think about if you want to make a few changes in your garden. If you're planning to go down the herbalism route with these, please do your research. Make sure what you want to do will be suitable. Like I said, I'm not a herbalist. I do use herbs for myself and my family, but I'm only going to use ones that I'm comfortable with and I know are safe for us to use. And that, my Joy Bunny friends, brings us to the end of this week's episode. If you've made it this far, thank you for your company, and I will be back next week with another topic to encourage us all to get and keep gardening. But until then, you take care of your wee self.